Hello there. In this video, we are going to build a counter application similar to this one, where you will press on this +1 button and it is going to increment the number. And we are going to build this without using stateful, which means there will be no any set state. We will do all this using provider. Okay, so here you can see that I am having the first file, which is having not much code. The main function, which is calling the my app is having material app, home as counter app. So I have this much of code only, and I'm going to start from here. You can see here, like, I am having a stateless widget, which means I'm going to use this one. I will not use stateful. We will build the counter application with the help of stateless. Okay, so first of all, we will create a floating action button. So we have to provide a callback on pressed. So let's provide a anonymous callback. After that, we have to provide an icon that is going to be child icon, and icon add one +1. Okay, +1. So prefer const. Okay, let's add the const. Okay, so now this one is good. So now whenever we will press on this button, like, there should be some visual change, or where we will see the count. So for that, let's, in the body, let's create some text. The text is going to say you pressed button for 0 times or x times, whatever the number is going to be, and that's it. So the text is very small, so let's apply some style. So I'm going to use the default style using theme of. So again, theme of this is also somewhere using the provider logic. Okay, the way provider works, this is also working that same way only, but this is not using the provider. Okay, so now we are going to use headline 5. Okay, and let's make it in 2 line, and let's apply the text alignment center. Okay, so now you press the button 0 times. We are pressing the button, but nothing is changing because 0 is hard coded. We need to, like, use some variable. Okay, moving forward, at this point we have, like, build the UI. Now we have to use the provider. So let's come here, and you can go to this URL. The link will be in the description, and after that we will open this pub/spec.yaml file. So let's open this file, pub/spec.yaml. Here we go. Let's paste the dependency and let's save it, and as soon as you save, you will see that Flutter pub get will run automatically by VS Code. Now I am going to create a folder that is going to be provider, and in this I will create the counter provider dot. Okay, so let's create the class called counter provider, and this class is going to extend change notifier. Awesome. Now this counter provider is going to hold a value which is count, I mean to say, or basically this variable will store how many times you have pressed the button. So as this variable is private, there should be a way to get these values. So for that, we are going to make a getter. So we cannot update this variable because it's private, but we can get the value. So there should be a way of increasing or incrementing the counter. So for that, we can do using a method, and once it has been done, we can call notify listener, and it will notify all the listeners, and it will update or give the latest value to the listeners. Okay, so in order to have the listener, we need to wrap our app with the change notifier provider. Okay, so here we have to have a create, which will take a context, and we have to provide the counter provider. So it is complaining something, but the argument is dynamic. Okay, I think I have to import this one. It didn't auto import. Okay, so once I import it, it's fine. So you can see I have 4 imports. The 2 of them are provider, one is from package, the other one is which I just created. Okay, so now wherever I want to use it, it's available now. So I just have to go and say provider dot, let's import provider first, provider. Okay, provider of, and you see it's similar to the like theme of. Okay, and let's store final dot counter. Okay, but there is a little bit difference here. We just have to say counter provider, which provider we want to access. Okay, it's awesome. So we can take the counter thing, and from the counter we can get the count easily, because if you remember, we created a getter count. Okay, so using the count we got the count. Let's replace the 0 by the variable. So now you see it has been replaced. Coming forward, now whenever we will press the button, the value needs to be increased. So count dot increment, that's it, we are good to go. So you see, we press the button, the number is getting increased. We can simplify this a little bit more. So let's remove this one, pass it as a argument. Okay, so now this one is working fine, without the set state or stateful. You see everything is working as expected. So on press we are calling the increment, and the increment is basically taking the existing number, adding one, and doing the notify listener, which is notifying the listener. So any listener can be there in our app, in any page, that must come under this tree. So basically, if you add at the top of your material app, you can access it anywhere. But if you want to add it down the tree, you can do that. But for that you need to uh, follow some restriction where you can access these things. So here we are accessing it, and provider dot of, and we are getting the count, and everything is happening. So if I remove the notify listener part, if I press on the plus, it is not going to do anything. But if I go and say command s or control s, it is going to increment it. Or we can do hot reload, just a hot reload. So similar to the set state. So sometimes if you remember in the counter application, if you remove the set state part, it doesn't increment the number on UI, but in the code